Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well amidst the pandemic that we're in, wherever you are. We decided to make a second podcast now, and perhaps more to come because we had a very good feedback on our first podcast, which, to be honest, started in a very, how would I say, unorthodox way. We never really meant it, did we?
Nope. We actually just out of the blue, we just all right, why not make a podcast?
Yeah. Thing is, we do like to discuss some interesting topics. That perhaps it may shed light to something that you may not understand. By no means we understand these topics at its best, because, of course, there's only much you can discover about certain things. What do you think?
Depends.
Okay, on what?
Depends. But the thing is, since our last podcast, I was kind of amazed that a lot of people gave me a positive feedback, like, okay, do
Yeah.
more. And I was like, okay, it was a random train of thought that it just happened, and out of the blue, we started recording and everything. And best things happen when you improvise.
Right.
And for this one, we're just thinking, you know, why not just go for the second one?
Yeah.
Look, come on. People want the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're gonna give him a trilogy, and why not? Let's make it a saga. As long as it goes well.
Yeah.
As long as people want to hear more, we're
Yeah.
here.
Plus, if you
We're
ever
to talk
guys
about
think like you want to have another certain topic, well, if it's irrelevant to a lot of different things that we're gonna speak of, amongst which it could be modern day politics. Perhaps the topic today that we're gonna pick out is economics. Now, the reason why we thought it was a good idea to talk or shed light on this topic was because we believe the roots that it has are everywhere, whatever you look at,
It's evident.
it's evident that it is the cause of modern day civilization that we have.
Well, if you think about it, right? Modern day civilization, to be honest, we all know what is running it, right?
Of course.
And of course, on the contrary, people are they want to justify it in a way okay, civilization is actually advancing and everything. Everything's going cool, there's nothing wrong. Right now, I guess, after a month or within a couple of weeks, we're going to be witnessing Tesla's rocket launch.
Yes.
And surprisingly, you told me it's gonna be a hop, but come on, 15 kilometers,
15 kilos is
15 kilos vertically from that's a whole you're launching it basically.
Tesla is, Elon Musk is definitely one of those candidates for becoming the first trillionaire.
He's changing humanity. That much power and that genius. But come on.
All right, so I think let's just put a pause on this one and back out a little bit because now we're headed towards future. But I think we need to take a little step back and see how did we arrive here, right? In our previous podcast, I recall that there were some aspects of economy that we touched that included the gold standard.
The dollar.
Yeah, we didn't go into much details about it, but I guess that happened. And how our economic system really works. So let's take a step back there.
To be honest, the system, I'd rather call it a claw machine. It's rigged. I'm gonna be honest.
I swear, I heard a scholar come on. A Christian scholar met a Muslim scholar, but the Christian had a degree in. He was a professor of economics, and he said it in a very beautiful term. He said it's a casino economy.
Wow. Wow.
Our economy is
Wow.
an entire casino, basically.
Well, this is the best, the best way you could say it. The
It's
best
very-
way you could
very
put it. It's a
interesting.
casino. Come on, think about it. We have billionaires throwing money, and come on, let's be honest. We talk about billionaires, but let's just focus on the trillionaires. The
Yeah.
few lucky people, the way they got over
All right,
there.
all right. So for everyone that there's a very big difference we need to distinguish before we head into this topic. And that distinguishes that two aspects to this distinguishment, if that is even a word, is that there's something called money and there's something called currency. These are two different things. Now, the differences in these two are that money, over periods of time, is going to increase in its value, whereas currency is going to decrease in its value. What increases in its value over time? For example, gold.
Gold.
It's a type of medium of exchange. There are certain properties that both need to have, but money has one extra property, which is that over periods of time it increases in its value. Mike Maloney said it best in one of his documentaries. It was called. It is very important to remember that. Hidden Secrets of Money. Amazing documentary, which I would recommend to everyone to watch that, by Mike Maloney. And he said that
Sorry to cut you off. Like
Yep.
Mike Maloney, what is he like? Is he an analyst? What is
so
he?
he's an investor. Yeah,
He's an investor.
he's an investor, and he invests in silver and gold.
Oh.
Yeah, and he is in fact the advisor, financial advisor of that. I think Japanese guy who wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad.
To be honest, wait.
Rich
Jack
Dad,
Ma?
Yeah, no. Rich Dad. It's the famous book by. I'm so sorry, I don't remember his name, but he talks about the rat race and all the system the way it is. He gives them financial advices, so very credible source of documentary that is. Nevertheless, he says that currency decreases in value over time, whereas money increases. Currency, why does it decrease, right? One word, inflation. You increase the number of something, number of items over time, it's going to decrease in its value.
There's like a higher supply rate, but the demand is not too much. It's beating
Yeah.
the demand in a way.
You're increasing the supply
Increasing
by a
supply.
lot, which is not too good.
You're using the resources too much.
Yep. So that's the first difference that we need to know between these two things. Now we date back 4,000 years ago, right? What's happening? There are like pieces of gold that people exchange, medium of exchange. Whereas, the bartered standard, what was
The bartering standard, I think that was way behind, like way back, like before 4,000 years.
that? Yep,
I
exactly.
think that was the earliest form of exchange, actually. Just like, you have a bag of like rice,
Yeah,
I'll
for a
exchange
cow
like, for
or
a cow or
something.
something.
Yeah.
Like, well, to be honest, like, it's just like that guy over there. He's just like, you go to a shop and you're just like, well, I want to get this new phone. He's like, yeah, sure, it's like this much. You're just like, would you take bags of rice? Would you take bags of rice? The guy's just gonna look at you like, But think about this.
You know
like,
what? You might want to give me about 1,000 of those.
1,000 of those. No, thank you, sir. No, thank you. This is
Wait,
actually.
question. Do you think that would be a good idea for exchange for paper money because it is something that you can later sell for a higher price?
To be honest, like, depends.
Right?
Depends on the currency. It's a currency.
Just a thought to think of.
Like even till nowadays, what's surprising is that I think like in some African countries and some Bedouins and Arabs, for Arabs, like I don't know about now, but like in it's basically in like rural areas, right? So that if they want to marry a girl, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the dad offers like how many sheep, how many camels, and it's a thing. It's a thing to do it. Like for example, like.
That's
You
one
wanna-
standard, my friend.
That's one standard, and to be honest, I'm like, well, that's more like, I'm like, come on, like Campbell's like one guy actually. So, funny that this thing came up, but like I think there was this African landlord. I think he was a prince or something, and like, and this was like around like 6-7 years ago. That Barack Obama's daughter, for her, what's her name?
I have no idea.
For her, this prince in Africa, he said, to marry your daughter, I'll give like, I don't know, around like, I think he said like 50 or 60 goats or something.
Oh my
And I
god.
was like,
Start a business with that.
Start a business with that. I'm like,
Start breeding them.
well, to be honest, it's not gonna help the American economy. Come on, like everyone eats burgers, like beef,
Yeah,
beef.
so-
That's fucked up.
Okay, so
And around the world,
economy,
like,
as you said. Speaking of which,
yeah,
now that we have set these two differences between these, gold and currency, we've dated back to what was a barter standard. You further move on to 4,000 years ago, you got your little bit of gold coming out, all these, what's that called, precious metals, being used. And then you come about, I would say about Roman times, they also use like gold coins, but with stamps on them, like actual coins. So,
before gold, they had bronze and silver also.
yeah, then the Bronze Age came in.
The Bronze
yes,
Age, the silver,
yes.
then gold.
All metals that were there. But majority of the bronze is now really kind of worthless, and mostly for industrial purposes. Same goes for like silver. But still, the industry for silver for industry is actually pretty good. Anyways, we now are on something called what? Fiat currencies.
Fiat currency.
From that to this.
What's fiat currency? I want to know.
Okay, many might know this and many might not. So to distinguish what a fiat currency is, up until 1971. Yes, 1971.
1971.
1971. Very important year. President Nixon gave a speech on a stage, which was a very big event, in which he said that a currency that we have is no longer pegged to a gold or a gold standard. Now, what that means is that now that we have a currency, back before the US dollar came into existence, there was British pound, sterling pound, which was the international currency. But at that time, every currency of every country was pegged to the gold that it had in its own reserves. That determined the value of the currency. Now, if you increase the supply of currency while not increasing the supply of gold, of course the prices of the currency is going to decrease.
Of course.
Inflation. So obvious. Now, if your gold, on the other hand, in reserves increase, and you you maintain the value, and you don't print money basically, then the value will start increasing.
So it's basically like gold is the
Determining factor.
The battery for the paper money we have.
Yes.
Like money in
It's
general.
it's like saying literally
Your currency's strength is
Okay,
based
so
on how much
it's-
gold the country has.
So the first dollar when it came, it was pegged to gold, right? What they did is something. I'm so sorry. There's something very important that happened in 1945, I believe.
Gotta Google that shit, bruh.
Because that name is very, very important.
Okay. Well, it's interesting that if you think about it, like the US gold standard and everything, like gold is still relevant.
Yeah.
You can still deal in gold. You can.
Yep.
Like, think about it. If you consider the fact, like, today was like interesting. We like I was exchanging money from my phone, so over there I was like, I want to change the currency from dollars, and the dollars was as categorized in gold.
Gold.
In the
That
gold
was something
category.
very
It was something new. The first time the bank's app actually got updated, and I was like, huh. This is interesting. Like the dollar is now they're linking it under gold.
So here's the question: we don't know if dollar is being connected to gold, or is it that they're thinking they might want to switch to gold because right now things don't look so good for the U.S. economy?
They don't.
No, they
It's
do
a bubble
not.
that's about to pop. They said it for Bitcoin. That's gonna
Yes.
happen, followed by the crash of dollar, because of course you're inflating it. What's the thing about inflation? You're filling a balloon with air. It's gonna explode. It's gonna explode. And the problem is the balloon actually has water in it, and that's called debt.
There are so
It explodes,
many
crashes.
well, anyway, so back to what I was saying earlier, that it started with Bretton Woods system, in which several countries came together into a coalition that dollar is going to be the reserve currency through which you can exchange, excuse me, gold.
And in which year did that happen?
That happened in 1940. In 1944, yes.
1944. Okay, it was like during and after World War II.
Mm-hmm.
During and after.
Right after.
Right after World War II.
Right after. So, in which they decided that the dollar is going to be pegged to every other currency and then as well connected to gold. Now imagine there are different balloons, okay? There is there's gold at the very bottom like an anchor for a ship. And this is going up, and there's one big balloon which is the dollar, and several balloons coming out of this balloon which are the other currencies. Imagine that. Now what happened in 1971, right after Vietnam War, that they had to print some money to aid the war, and then they realized, holy shit, we have increased our supply of currency, and we do not have enough gold to back up the amount we're printing. Then in 1971, Nixon decided, okay, he comes up on stage, he says, the dollar is no longer exchangeable with gold. Basically, in early years of American history, the dollar was literally like a stamp through which you could go to a bank and exchange gold. So it's like a coupon.
It's a coupon for gold.
Yes. Now they cut the gold off. Now imagine all these balloons that were all tied to the anchor, which was gold. They all started floating up. That's when the term floating exchange market came into place. Now, the interesting thing about floating exchange market is that the laws of supply and demand come into play. Every currency is now, the value of every currency now is going to be determined by supply and demand rules, right? In which you will now, when this happened, US dollar was like, okay, we need to, create demand right now, so that we can start printing. Otherwise, we're going to be in some trouble, right? That happened in 1971 after Nixon, spoke on stage.
The Nixon administration was like...
It was one of the worst, man.
The worst. That guy, like, made marijuana illegal. I'm just like, really?
Unbelievable.
Like, really? Like,
him and
Ronalds
as well.
Huh?
Ronalds as well.
Of course. To be honest, like, sorry, I'm going off topic. The thing is, like, this is how economy works. And I'm gonna be honest about it. Economy is that entity, right? Where money is based on demand, of course.
Yep.
But it also actually is connected to government interest. Always. Money can be circulated everywhere. The first thing, the military. Okay?
Of course.
And it's not only the United States, it's every country.
Yeah.
Okay? Military spending. That's where
which is in trillions.
In trillions.
Yes.
In trillions. Okay? Now you're spending less money on necessities and things that people need, some people want, some things keep people happy. Now circulating it, like, think about it, there for the last, like, I don't know how many years, since I think even Obamacare was considered like it's shit, and around the world there are other insurance companies that are actually giving away health insurance, that how the government of the country spends money on insurance.
Well,
right?
one of the biggest problems in 2008 that happened was AIG, because AIG is the biggest insurance company in United States, and when the housing crisis happened, like, all these houses started going down, and they had to insure those houses, and a lot of the system started going down, and they were going bankrupt, and AIG held so much cash. Lehman Brothers and AIG, they both got screwed at that one. They declared bankruptcy.
Just think about it, like, why did the crash happen? People were spending. It's not that everyone had loans and the banks didn't check their asset or anything. They were just giving loans.
Yep.
What best the banks could have done was like, okay, I'm giving a loan to this guy, he's gonna spend money on useless shit. But like, at least you have to check the assets versus liabilities, right? Now, think about this. They were okay with it because, like, come on, this thing. Now this is my assumption. Before this crisis happened, do you think that the government and the bankers were stupid that they didn't foresee this? Of course they knew it.
Yep.
You crash something, you break something into millions of pieces. Sorry about that. Just to put it back together in your own image.
You know, the funny thing is that I bet I bet you that the bankers knew, and they further knew that. You know, there's a there's a very funny movie, and the title best fits this scenario, and the title is called "Too Big to Fail." Too big to fail.
It's like Titanic.
Now, the title represents this vibe that the government is going to definitely come and bail them out. If they fail,
the banks are insured by
And
the
no,
government.
imagine
The
if-
banks are insured by the government, but nothing is
imagine
insured by
if
the bank.
banks fail. There goes U.S. economy. Gone. If the banks fail. So they know for a fact that the Federal Reserve is there to bail them out.
Because they have confidence in that.
Imagine, Federal Reserve is a private institute.
That's the problem.
The company that prints money is a private institute.
You know the
Of course it's yeah.
You know the problem with this is how can you privatize your nation's currency? You do not privatize these things. You can't do that. Like, for example, I think, if I'm not wrong, in Pakistan, back, I don't know what year, the International Airlines, Pakistan Airlines, PIA, was actually, they privatized it, right? And after that happening, like, it did get privatized, right? If I'm not wrong.
I am not too entirely sure, but it is a flag carrier of Pakistan, so
Yeah.
not too sure if it is
So, like,
governmental or not.
it got privatized partially or something. I'm not I didn't go too deep in it. But since then, the quality of service and everything was different, right? Now, everything changes. It's all different, right? The whole system, the scheme changes, but you have to make sure who's behind the private company and what responsibility you're giving them. If you want it done perfectly, right? You might as well do it yourself. The problem with the U.S. government is that they privatize these things, everything. Even because they give their own strings to someone to puppeteer them. Sorry if that's word, puppeteering,
Yeah.
something like that. They're puppets, right? And I'm not saying that type of puppet. That's a different topic. I'm just saying, like, you privatize something to a company, and let me add this too. The same guy who's printing your currency is also printing a currency for another country.
Yep.
You know what I mean, right?
Yep. Yep.
You privatize this to
And the funny thing is
like
that
to the
dude, the funny thing is it even has shares that you can get in a public market.
why is something so much privatized that of course it's gonna be sold to the public market? Don't give it to the public market. To be honest, like, come on, the public market is huge. Of course, there are people, there's the public. They're gonna buy it. There's too much demand. The supply is so much that the price will go
Okay,
down.
so-
You're putting a risk on it. Like, no, like, think about this. Your currency is being printed by someone, a company.
Yeah.
You know that company, you've known them for so many years.
Yeah.
But you know that the company does not have the authority to rule out the basic economic system of your country, but that company, based on what they print on your fucking currency, is determining what the fuck your government should do as we say, as we find fit, because it's gonna fill our pockets. We're gonna fill your pockets too,
Yes.
of course.
Yes.
Come on, it has a price. That's why the government did it in the first place. The government's fucking greedy everywhere in the fucking
Yeah.
world. The government's corrupt. But when as a government, when you're doing that, don't give that power to a different entity. Give it to your own. Give it to a government institution
Okay,
or anything, something like that. You can't give it to someone else.
Let me shed more of my perspective on the way these guys are getting rich, right? Now, there's a term which is also key in this, is debt-based economy. Everything that we have around us, basically, is made of debt. What does that even mean? $217 trillion owed by the world.
Who are we gonna pay it to?
Who?
Whom?
Aliens?
Aliens.
Who do we owe this money to?
Well, if to be honest, some aliens come, like, you know, they come to visit us. They're like, oh well, you guys owe us money. We're like, what?
Excuse me?
Excuse me. They're like, no, really, like, we placed you on this planet, and yeah, you know, there's this thing about sorry if I'm going off topic,
No,
but it's like
no, go ahead.
of this evolution theory that people said we did actually come from apes. For me, evolution theory, to be honest, is like, I'm just going like, where does it stand exactly?
Okay.
I believe it, not believe it. I'm just like, where does it stand? You know, there's a lot of questions, but like, I respect it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which reminds me, as a further note, is that to spirituality is another one of our sessions, that topics that might, show up.
Yeah, they might show.
I might, yeah, definitely, because that's also a very important topic. I believe that is very, very crucial.
Very crucial. Very important.
In today's environment.
It's very, very much linked to the economy. What's happening.
Yes, of course.
Okay, so from evolution, so aliens said, like, and people theorized this, that the aliens came and they fucked apes, and that's how we came.
Yeah, with that
I'm just
Sumerian
like,
text, they had that in it. Yeah.
I'm just like, interesting, like,
Yes,
you know.
Yes.
So,
Oh
so anyway, back to the thing who we owe the
Money
debt,
to.
the money to.
Yeah.
Like, we owe it to someone. We
Yeah.
do owe it.
Yes.
What's I'm not gonna say what, I'm gonna say who are they?
Yes.
You know, these are people in suits
Yes.
who sit at the higher table, and they're the ones deciding. Kind of
Yeah.
like that scene from Mr. Robot, episode 1,
Yeah.
the pilot.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Absolutely. So, train of thought. Where was I? Shit.
Yeah, about the debt that we have to. Owe.
Yes. the
It's
debt-
a debt-based
Oh my-
economy.
The question is how. Who prints money and how much do they print, and what determines how much should they print, right? Now, Federal Reserve, as we know, is the entity that prints money for United States of America. How much do they print? Well, if you and I go, to a bank and we go like, you know what, I need $1 million. I need to start a business. They go like, okay, show me your credentials. Where do you work? Okay, do you have enough income to give those returns back, in a significant period of time? Might be 4 years, might be 10 years, depends. They take that in notes. They go contact Federal Reserve, the bank that is, who you're applying to, and they tell Federal Reserve, okay, we're gonna we have a request for a loan that is for $1 million. So can you please issue us a bond in which
My dad, actually, sorry about that. My
Yep.
dad, when like I took a loan from him for like $1 million. No, a debt of $1 million.
debt of $1
You're
million.
fired. Gonna build a wall with it. He's gonna fucking build a wall with this shit. Swear to God.
You fired. And guess what? Mexico's gonna pay for it.
Mexico's gonna pay for it. You take like $1 million
Oh my
as a
God.
loan or a debt. If you're in debt, of course you took a loan, right?
Yeah.
Now if you take $1 million, you know how this thing I imagine is like, it's like a seesaw, right?
Yeah.
Now when you brought that part up for like the difference between money and currency, right? So sorry if I'm cutting you off. All right. So money, the value increases. For currency, it decreases, right?
Yep.
Money is what the rich have.
Yep.
Okay. The currency is what we have. Now, The rich, sorry about that. The rich is like, okay, here's the thing. We have money. The value is gonna increase. There's gonna be an increment in the value of it as long as the currency falls. So we have to make the currency fall step by step so our money gets higher in value because then demand and supply, it's the surplus is gone. The surplus
Yeah.
was gone like a long time ago.
Yep.
Because here's how gold they have. It's this interesting thing. Do you know who was the richest man who walked Earth?
Was it that African guy?
Yeah, Mansa Musa.
Yes.
Mansa Musa. And to be honest, wait, it was pretty interesting about this guy. Like this guy was an African. I think it was this African elite guy. Okay.
Yep.
And it was what do you call? He traveled over Africa, Middle East, until Egypt. And I think ahead, if I'm wrong, like correct me. But the thing is that he had so much gold that when he came to Egypt, right? He had so much gold that he gave to the people.
Yeah.
So much gold because I think it came around like in thousands of camels and each camel,
My
around
God.
like thousands of camels and each
Okay.
camel had on their back like
Kilos of gold.
kilos
Yeah.
of gold. Okay, and a lot. He came with a huge, and he was known to be a very humble and a generous man.
Yeah.
And surprising to put on it, richest man was black man.
Yep.
He was
Yeah.
humble.
Yeah. A
Interesting.
lot of riches in Africa, man.
Yeah,
There are.
there are.
Yes.
And so the thing is, he gave so much gold and money to Egypt because he just visited over. I'm
Yeah.
visiting that Egypt. I don't know. I think for like 16 years. I
Which
think.
year was this in though?
His what do you call his reign was from 1312 till 1337, 25 years, and he passed
13.
away in 1337. Yeah, age 56 to 67.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so Egypt went into a surplus.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
Okay, this is how you load an economy. You give gold to people, to the whole country. Everyone gets not equally, but everyone gets gold. The public
Yeah.
gets gold, the privatized companies gets gold,
Yeah.
the government gets gold. That's
Yeah.
how you balance it out. Again,
Yeah.
of course, it's gold, limited resources,
Yeah.
but you can still think with that if you have
Yeah.
money, because money you are not worried about anything because you're like, I have money, I have gold, it's not going to decrease in price.
Yeah.
But when you have currency, you're gonna have this fear like, oh, we have to keep on supplying the
Yeah.
public, the
Yeah.
demand, as long as the currency is at a certain value. If it falls, we have to change our method because it's called inflation. And from inflation, if this thing keeps on happening, demands of anything, products, real estate, and specifically for real estate, like for example, the problem that happened again in 2007-8 economic crisis.
Yeah.
So from that, think about like a globe,
Yeah.
right? A world globe. You're filling it up with gold inside of it. It's gonna get heavier. But if you fill it inside with currency, right? It's not gonna be that heavy, right? But some parts of the globe are gonna be heavy based on where you hold it, which is stupid what I'm giving an example to be
Yeah.
honest. But like, as long as everyone has gold,
Yep.
the limitation of resources is not an issue. This planet has enough resources, enough water, enough everything to supply for millions of years. We're just not using it right.
What is that
And
one thing?
surprisingly, who came?
Oh, hello.
Oh, hello. Welcome.
Here
we actually
comes
have a
our-
guest here, actually. Long-awaited
Yes.
guest.
Long awaited indeed.
Yeah.
Who was supposed to be on our podcast, which we began earlier,
30 minutes ago.
but he decided that he would sleep instead.
Nah, actually, I was playing Warzone.
We're playing Warzone, actually.
Okay, perfect.
Well, we're not being sponsored by Treyarch or Infinity War. Nah. But
we're
we are
not.
broke, you know? We don't deserve such people
we don't
to
just
sponsor us.
sponsor us, to be honest. Actually, by sponsorship, we were talking about like the market. Sponsors, actually. Everywhere. You're just like bringing, like, holy shit. Like,
Very
hey,
nice.
what's up, man? How
We
was
were
the
talking
match?
earlier about some of these economics actually in this podcast, so
Alright.
I don't know if you would enjoy some of these conversations, but if you'd like to give an input of yours, or perhaps have a question and want to clarify,
Alright.
you're more than welcome to join.
Alright. Definitely, why not?
So, earlier when we were talking about it, you were saying.
What was I saying?
Actually, let me continue where I ended earlier,
Well, let me just like set this up. Okay. Yeah.
which was that. So we're talking about debt-based economy, in which we have our. Yeah, you asked for $1 million loan, and they
Yeah.
went to Federal Reserve, and they're like, "Please print that for us," right? Federal Reserve was like, "Okay, I'll print that money for you, and in return, you have to give me back 1,100,000."
Interest.
Interest.
Riba.
Yeah, interest. Exactly. Uh, so the Federal Reserve is then going to print that money, and they are going to give it to that bank, and they're going to further give it down to. Now, Federal Reserve have, by the way, have their own interest rates, and the way it works is that if the interest rates go down, that means people are more likely to take a loan because they don't have to give much in return back. Whereas if you have high interest, what's going to happen? That okay, we have to pay a lot back, so I might not want to take a loan right now, right?
Why not?
Controlling the consumption of loans. Now, the funny thing is now that we're in this pandemic and they're crashing down. What they introduced right after 2008, one of the most important terms, quantitative easing. Now, what is quantitative easing? What the banks do is this is the end game, right? Quantitative easing is the end game of how this economy is going to demolish, according to my opinion and some other economists as well.
The economy is depreciating time by time, and it's now going day by day. Actually,
It is,
day
yes.
by day decaying. You have an economy that you worked so hard to build for like so long, so
Dude,
many decades.
They are aware of what's going to happen with the people. Don't be mistaken.
Of course, they're gonna.
well
What's
aware
gonna?
of how this is going to crash.
Okay, what's gonna happen? The government's gonna build them out again. For how
Dude,
long?
no,
How many
it's-
times are we
it's
gonna
not-
do
It's
that?
not those who are going to. These are all going to lose at the end game. The end game is the ones who own Federal Reserve. What Federal Reserve is doing right now, or the Fed, is that they are buying assets. What is quantitative easing? They're buying assets from a bank that a bank might own, which is like a house or whatever it is. Okay, they're gonna buy that from you and give you money in return to liquidate the market. Right? Now, over a period of time, what's going to happen? Like what they're exchanging right now is actual assets for money that is eventually going to lose. So everyone down here in the economy is going to, get a hard hit. That's why so many of the economists like Mike Maloney, they're saying start investing in gold. Start investing in gold right now.
You mean like how the Bitcoin situation happened?
As well, yes. That's another medium of exchange which is going to be helpful later on.
The thing about Bitcoin.
But paper money is going to go down.
The thing about Bitcoin is that, okay,
All right, like, listen.
all right.
First of all, like, I don't think like the paper money is going to die out like anytime soon. Actually, maybe possible like 100 years if you take it. Maybe then, more or less, because
Unless
like
we face a threat of war, which is because
we do. But like if you think about it, there are a
War.
lot of countries.
No, we're very close to that.
But there are a lot of countries who are like third world countries.
of course.
They're still not up to date on technology or anything. They still use paper,
Yep.
right? For example, like we can take Bangladesh, for example, right? What do we import or export from there? Basic knowledge, anyone?
Textiles, I think.
Textiles, yeah.
Cotton.
Yeah, cotton.
Cotton, as there were actually famous back, I don't know how many years ago. I think it was the time of the British rule that they were very famous about their silk.
Yeah, that was during that time when Bangladesh was Pakistan.
Yep.
Like you know the thing, like the silk, like a huge silk cloth. It was so soft. It was so like prominent that you were able to fold it into a ring.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, and the people who knew this art, I don't know if it's true or not. Like I heard it so long ago, but I think it's true. The Brits cut off their fingers, like one of the finger, so they can forget the art of it.
Wow, that's Oh my god.
Yeah, it's the same with the Arabian horses. Do you know about
That's
that
fucking
thing?
Crazy. No, I do not.
Oh,
What?
you know about that? The Arabian horses thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of things.
Man.
Like the Taj Mahal, no one can create it again. So, with the Mughal emperor, he cut off the hands. If you look down back in history, it happens. But okay, to the point where I was going.
Yep.
So, like those underdeveloped countries, they don't know about technology or
Yep.
anything.
Yep.
So they're far behind. And like he said, like silk is important. And no, in the whole world, right? They would need silk. They would need textiles.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to do the import and export thing with Bangladesh, they have to use paper.
Yep.
So it's not going to die out very soon.
Okay.
And regarding investment, all right, before the pandemic, yeah, there were a lot of issues. Like some of the people weren't paying back their loans or anything. That causes banks and even the government to, like decay.
That's
over
what
time.
caused the 2008 crisis.
Yeah,
Loans
but if
not
you look,
returning.
but if you look at now during the pandemic, do you think the loans that they will give out during the pandemic, they will return? You know why? Because of the pandemic, there are a lot of streamers out there online.
Yeah.
Everything is online.
There's a different side of economy that is being generated.
Yeah,
Because of this.
Yeah, so like we evolved. So
Yeah.
I can't say like economy is going to go down. Even the 2008 thing, that crisis happened. All right, most of the people, they will learn from it so that it doesn't happen again. So they will find new ways to overcome.
Let me tell you how.
Look, you
what I-
create a loop
what-
and. Look,
You
here's
can't
the
No, no,
thing.
create a loop.
Let me tell you, right? When we talk about economy going down, how do we differentiate what do we mean by it? A world order is going to begin. A world order began earlier when the dollar came into existence and it took over the world. It's going to end.
Wasn't
that order is going to end, and a new world order is going to begin, in which you're going to be using a new economy. Economy is never going to die, for sure.
Yeah.
Wasn't the new order like in place when the sterling was actually the main thing?
That was its own order.
Mhm.
That's how you represent, like, you know.
Then it went to dollar, then after dollar.
Yes, exactly.
Check it.
So that's very interesting, but that's further down the line.
We're not so far from that point. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
We're
but
not.
it depends on the people as well, if they're uneducated or they're not smart. Look at Jordan Belfort, for example. He used penny stocks to get a name and get rich. He used to sell those penny stocks at very high prices. And he did earn a lot. It's not even normal, like if you just see the movie Wolf of Wall Street, if you see Jordan Belfort's own speeches and everything, oh, that guy was like very smart.
Trademarking.
Trademark, yeah. But you know what? In this day and age, smartness is the main thing.
Plus, man, it's
Very
there's
few have
smartness.
it.
But earlier when we were talking, I mentioned
Hustle, basically.
about
My hustle and my side hustle, bruh.
it being a casino economy, right? So in which, let's say these Wall Street guys, right?
Yeah.
What are they basically doing? They're trading from stocks, and basically betting money that this company is going to do well.
Yeah.
That's basically how they're earning money out of it.
Investment, basically. Depends on how
yes,
much share
but
you
it
get.
is
and
big.
everything.
No one knows for certain that this thing is going to be good or bad. It is not for certain. It is a gamble. And many investors, and they've been all basically gambling. Now, to most of our listeners and you guys, that if there's an advice that I've taken from someone, and I'm definitely going to apply, and an advice that I'm going to further give is that sometime soon one should definitely start thinking about stacking some gold. Why do I say so? Question being why?
Yeah.
Earlier when I said that this world order is going to end, meaning that at the moment Federal Reserve is definitely printing money, and by the way, they're not really physically printing it, they're adding it into a system.
Plastic
Right.
money.
Yeah, and they're doing it by such massive scale that inflation and hyperinflation is evident. It is eventually going to end, and
Liquidating.
there has never been there was in Mike Maloney's documentary, he said there has been, I don't know, a few thousand or a few hundred thousands rather, currencies that have been before, which were fiat currencies on paper, and the survival rate of any single one of them has been zero so far. So dollar is no different. The only thing is, at the moment, it has strong roots with oil, which is one of the biggest other topics, the petrodollar industry in itself. If that was to crash, then a lot of the demand of, dollar is going to go away. However, it is still the reserve currency. It is evidently going to crash, believe me. And the medium of exchange that is going to be of highest value are going to be the precious metals. Whether it's silver, whether it's gold, platinum, all these things. So the advice would be that by the way, real estate, of course. Real estate, even though it may have some of its harsh times, but owning a land, owning a property is something that is an asset, right? It's an asset. That's the best advice that I could give.
All right. Okay. On the real estate topic, it's a good advice though. You should invest in real estate, but it depends on the area as well. For example, like here where we are living, North Cyprus, right?
Yep.
So this place is not known, right? So, for example, the North and South, they shake hands. They're like, just fuck this. No North Cyprus, no South Cyprus. Let's just be Cyprus. All right? And if the people from South Cyprus, they come to the North and they show papers that this real estate, this land, is ours. The government can't do shit. No matter how much money that land is getting them or anything, it will go directly to them because they're the main holders of this.
Yes.
Example, like if a war, happens somewhere, right? And like it has issues, right? And it completely destroys the country, and like two countries join into one or something. They do have papers, like the old papers, like this land did belong to us or grandparents or something.
Yeah.
You can't do anything about it. You have to give it to them. You can't do anything. So even real estate is like a little bit, like shaky.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Hence, like real estate, you're absolutely right. And I mean, it's evident from even 2008 crisis that happened, that real estate can fall. They're all based on debt, So at the end of the day, what are you left with if the economy falls? Like, believe me, even having a farm, okay, where you're just growing sheep and chicken, okay, is much better than you storing your money in a bank and just keep it safe there, because it is not increasing in its value over periods of many years. Of course, the bank tells you that if you keep $1 million in our bank, we're going to give you some interest on it and we give you returns, right? Saving account, But they don't tell you the inflation that's happening in economy, okay, is way higher than the returns that these guys are going to give you through the bank. So you're losing money for sure.
Yeah.
So you divide this cash into different assets, and best of them being gold, that is.
True. Yeah. The gold is a good option, but like, even I would say like, okay, you're right, gold is a good option for investing and like holding on to. But like dealing with gold is kind of a gamble as well, if you think about it.
How is that so?
For example, alright, if we are going somewhere, we need to purchase anything, right? We have a golden brick with us if you want to purchase anything. And now, like you have to pay it by, I think, like, if we have a kg of like a brick gold, alright? And if the thing that costs about, like you said, 0.1 ounce,
yes,
yeah.
I know what you mean.
So like, how they're gonna break it? They might take more.
You gotta think more deeper than that. Like when I say, for example, gold standard, okay, bring back the gold standard, for example, or talking about a system that's made out of gold.
So you basically saying like gold coins or like
still use the paper money. There's no problem with that. Just have gold connected to it.
Look,
You understand? That's to determine its value. So you can still use gold as, that is going to determine. Okay, you can't print more than that because that's the amount of gold to back it up, right? So you don't go into inflation. But here's the thing about inflation, right? That you see technology how it's improving. This will never be possible if the inflation was not there. That's how the economy is, empowering itself by just increasing those the borrowings from the banks. Inflation is part of it.
All right, but like, okay, tell me this though. Do you really think like everyone in the world, they can get behind gold?
What do you mean?
Like the whole country, no matter how many countries there are in the world, they would stop using paper money and they would start using gold.
No,
Is
so
it possible?
okay,
No,
so
no.
here's the thing.
If it's a chance, if it's a possibility.
What is going to happen is there's a transition period between the first order and the second order, right?
Yeah.
Now, say you had paper money after that, and what's going to come in future is probably digital. Let's just say, for example,
Alright.
okay, I bet you this transition period that you're going to have, gold will be the best medium of exchange if you want to convert this into electronic money.
Yeah.
I bet you that they're going to be institutes. They're going to be like, okay, you give us gold, we're going to give you in return electronic money. If you go to them and you go like, you know what, I'm going to give you some paper. Like, I'm sorry, we don't use that.
No, I
That
get your point.
4,000 years it has been since we're using gold,
Yeah. All right.
and
you're
its
right.
value is always going to be there.
Yeah, you're right. But like my thing is like, okay.
So it's like a
you know,
transition
every
money,
country,
basically.
Yeah. But every country has ego with them.
Okay.
All right. They're full of ego. They think highly of themselves.
Yeah.
Right. So don't you think that when we use gold, they're going to put their country face or the king's face or someone president's face on that gold, and then they're going to say, "Oh, it's an American gold. It has more value. Oh, it is a
No
That
problem,
can happen.
dude.
It can happen.
Dude, come on. You just take. Okay, I'll take that gold. Sure. Okay, melt the shit out of it. Make your own coins.
You can recycle it. Like,
Dude,
not
yeah,
recycling,
but like-
repurposing
bigger than
it for.
gold, like,
but
depends.
gold is gold.
Gold is gold, but like, look, gold doesn't come. It comes with impurities, right?
12 carats, 24 carats.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, it can depend. Like, if you're in America, maybe it will be a purest form of gold. In some other country, they might not use.
But it's.
That's completely fine. That is.
But
and you
it's-
can okay, for example.
Okay, look, here it brings back to the thing like, look, purities in gold vary from country to country, but it's not important because 24 carat, 12 carat, something like that. I don't know, like, to be honest, again, like, in gold, I'm not that good at it. But still, every country that's actually dealing in gold, they can repurpose it.
Why did Roman
Because-
Empire fall? You know, the Roman Empire was one of the first ones to introduce inflation. Whenever the taxpayer gives money to the government, they're trying to put it on military. They take the money, they take the gold, they melt it all. They have the faces of the Caesar. They melt it down, they add other metals to it, and then they make it into coins. They further circulate that into the market. They get tax returns again, they infuse the same thing. There came a point where that damn coin had barely any gold in it. And and that was one of the biggest reasons why Roman Empire fell. So
It's basically you're selling milk in the market, but from every
Yes.
supplier, you're just adding
dude,
water,
we have
water,
the
water.
technology to precisely know the quantities of gold in a particular thing. Point being, if it is, let's say, pure gold, okay, let's just say it is whatever the highest quantity of pure gold is, might be 24, I don't know the exact number, but let's just say if it is, then that medium of exchange is going to, as I said, it is not something that you're gonna go on street and go like, you know what, here you go, a coin, and give me that. No, but it is infused in governments, what do you call that, treasuries, that determine the value of the currency that they're going to give out.
Right. But like, even mining is an issue where you have to mine a lot.
Why
of
do you
gold.
think inflation is so hard in gold? Not like Caesar did it, but the inflation in itself, because there's only much gold that we can, mine. There's so much that we can mine. Then right after that, we have to just, keep on digging. Keep on digging. If there's more supply of gold, like you just found a, field full of gold.
But mining gold, it can cause a lot of pollution as well. So you have to take that factor as well.
So much.
There's a lot of things. Like, you make very good points about getting gold back, but there are a lot of hierarchy issues as well,
Mm-hmm.
like pollution, the money to
By the way,
mine.
even though my opinion of gold would be good, but it's never going to get infused in an economic system because the ones who are ruling everything down there, pulling the strings, never want that to happen. Gaddafi got killed for it.
Shah Faisal.
Bhutto got killed for it as well. Shah Faisal got killed for it.
3 Muslim superpowers during the 70s.
Because gold is not something that they would like. And that holds power, man. Believe me. That's one of the biggest reasons why I believe that, it's the kryptonite, if you will.
This is how gold functions, right? Now, of course, if you have a golden brick back, let's just say 4,000, 3,000 years ago, and you go to a market and you just give the guy okay, I want a bag of rice or a couple of chickens or something, potatoes, anything in particular, I would pay you let's just say 2, 3 coins of gold,
Yeah.
right? Now, at that time, we can't say that gold was it was the standardized currency, but also at the same time, gold had a value for normal currency back then, right? Gold is now valuable, right? People give it a higher value because they say it's rare. The rarity of it is because it's that much worth, even though it's not that rare, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that rare.
There is plentiful, man.
There's plenty of it, okay? But it's a tag on it just to give it more worth. But the thing is, it was so abundant back in the day that, of course, one gold coin equals 2 chickens or something. Nowadays, if I give a 1 gold coin, of course, I'm gonna get a cell phone or something based on how valuable it is. Now, gold from that time has started increasing again. Like you said, money. For money, it increases in value. Is increased in value. Now, currency is its predecessor. Okay. Now, currency, in a way, if you can think that it's something new, it's a new age. Gold and currency should not exist at the same time. They cannot coexist if the whole purpose is that one side increases, the other side decreases. But gold is made that way with currency. So, the ones who have the gold, just to increase the worth of it, you are going to crash the entire system, the ecosystem of the currencies around the world, as many as you're connected, which is dollar. Okay.
Because you can't print gold.
You can print gold. It's limited. It's not limited, but that's something different.
Yeah.
Now, the reason this was paper money came is that, of course, there were paper money didn't come to the market intentionally, that we're here to fuck people up. Paper money came in to be
Believe me, it was
it's-
only about 7 to 8 members who gathered in 1913 in U.S. Georgia that decided that Federal Reserve, they passed a bill to make the Federal Reserve, which is going to print money. So it was a bill that was passed on a very secretive meeting that made what Federal Reserve is today, and that is the power hub that's empowering the U.S. right now
and the world.
and the world.
Because now Federal Reserve, right? They have all they're printing money. They have currency based on gold, and of course the gold they have. There's so much in debt. Actually, the gold is not theirs anymore, to be honest. So the demand in currency is increasing. They're printing money. They're just printing. The demand is there. The supply is there. Everyone goes home happy. But what people are failing to recognize is that there's no gold. They're like, no, there is gold. That's not our gold. The government's we kind of sold ourselves off to a privatized institution. So yeah, and that institution in return, what did it get from printing currencies? For a
Assets.
price.
It got assets.
It got assets. The gold grew
Federal
higher,
Reserve is-
increased in value.
Federal Reserve is
And-
giving money to banks to liquidate the market, and in return, the banks are giving Federal Reserve their assets.
And one of the key
It's the biggest prank of all time.
Exactly, and the thing is that one of the most important allies of gold is real estate.
Yep.
Real estate is getting holy shit, the rates that are going up and the interest. Dude, you have to see it. See it from late 90s till today. You will you'll be so much shocked that you're just gonna be okay, holy shit. This is worse than gold. Gold is based off on real estate, but real estate is its own entity. And like the economic collapse that happened and the Great Depression, real estate was the main thing that was very
Housing
open.
prices, yeah.
People went homeless, eviction notices, everything, and they couldn't like even like penalize anyone for like late payment because no one was willing to pay it. Again, what they did back in the 1930s. 1930s, right? The Great Depression.
29, yeah.
And 29. Okay, around that time.
Yep.
Now, this debt-based economy, okay, can you clarify this for me? Why is every country that's a first world country or second world country that's successful, that's thriving technologically and every other aspect, even the GDP is
Okay.
like high? Why are they so much in debt? What's the system that makes them
Okay.
look
Perfect.
rich? It's like you get the point, right?
I'll give you a direct relationship between something and something. Direct relationship is look at those countries that are really advanced and really metropolitan. Which countries would you say?
Japan.
US, Japan, China, right?
Russia,
Russia.
Germany.
Germany.
So all these countries,
Europe.
right? These countries are the countries who have the highest international debt. Everything that they have achieved so far, every technological advancement that they've achieved so far, is based off of debt. So you look at those countries that are really advanced, and you'll see their, economy in severe amount of debt that is not going to ever come back. Yeah.
Wow.
Nevertheless,
It was
It was a-
honestly a really good episode 2, and we had
Yeah.
an unexpected guest.
yes.
So,
Thanks for
the-
indeed sharing your thoughts.
thanks for joining us, man. In the future, we are actually planning to bring in some guests, actually,
Yes.
and that will be happening after I think let's just see. I'm giving it a week or two time
Yeah,
until the next
perhaps.
episode comes out, and in that we're gonna bring some interesting new guests, and they'll also be here to share their opinions and everything. And to be honest, guys, it was really nice having you here, and
Yes.
so I think that's it for today.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye bye.